So the fact that we've created something, but it is helping to really, in our own businesses, make better decisions and be more cognizant of how we do that, and to learn more about our colleagues in our businesses and how they think and make decisions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Exponential Africa, where we are bringing you the very best in thought leadership, technology, and innovation. And today we've got a really exciting discussion. If you think about it, let's be honest, most corporate training really doesn't work at the moment. It's static, it's theoretical, and when real decisions need to be made, people are still learning on the job, often at a high cost. But that's really starting to change now. We're entering a new era of learning, one that's immersive, AI-driven, and built around the real decision-making powers under pressure. And today's guest is at the forefront of that shift. We have Kirsty Chadwick, who is the founder and CEO of the Training Room Online. And together we've partnered to build Red Horizon, a next-generation learning experience inside Ubu. It's designed to give leaders and teams a safe space to make these high-stakes decisions and test their thinking and learn by doing, not just by listening. Kirsty, welcome to Exponential Africa. So exciting to have you talking about training leaders for the new AI era inside Red Horizon. Welcome.
Thank you, Mick. Good to be here.
And where are you coming in from today?
I've just arrived in Manchester in the UK.
Oh, very, very cool. I'm sure you're missing the beautiful weather of Cape Town.
I'm certainly missing weather, the food, everything about Cape Town.
And Kirsty, let's just maybe give some context to the audience. So you've been in corporate training and leadership development for quite a long time, right?
Yeah, so founded the business in 2008. So for the last 17 years, we've been doing a lot of work with large enterprise, with government, primarily across the continent of Africa and the Middle East. So yeah, it's been amazing to see the shifts that you speak about in the introduction from where corporate training was to where it is today and where it's going to, which is a really exciting space to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great place to start. Let's actually discuss that. Is why do you think corporate training and traditional corporate training is no longer fit for purpose in this new world?
It's just the pace of change. So what organizations are requiring now in the skills within those organizations are just changing at such an exponential pace. It's really difficult for learning and development teams in the way they've been traditionally set up and structured as a function in an organization to keep up with the pace of skill change. And I think that flows through to the people themselves, being able to keep up. It flows through to young people that are coming out of a schooling system, which is definitely not geared for where those young people need to be, and career readiness and even career relevance of what's being taught in the education system. It's a difficult place to be able to know what direction to go, to understand what skills people are needing to have to be able to be relevant and move into this rapidly changing world that we're in today.
Also, I think another great point is that this current online version of corporate training is very passive. You're a passive participant in the learning versus something like Red Horizon, where you're in the 3D world and you're active and you're actually moving around almost as a 3D avatar representing yourself.
So yeah, I think absolutely. Yeah, I think we've got something really incredible with what we've designed and developed within the Red Horizon product. I think it's that combination of a few things that stands out for me as being really differentiated. One, it's that it's multiplayer. So to your point, even you're in the same immersive world together. You are working for the same company, which is a company that we've designed, a fictitious company, but with all of the relevant data sets you'd expect any company to have. And you're being forced in that moment, in this immersive place, to be able to make really good decisions for the business, for the people. You've got access to different technologies and different scenarios. And it's really measuring the impact and the strength of good decision-making under pressure. So it's a really beautiful way it's been simulated. The metaverse brings it to life. People playing from my team have been saying it's a fun experience, but gosh, you really feel the heat to make a decision and to not let your fellow colleagues playing with you let them down.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great point. Is, in life, you're in these high pressure situations all the time, and you have to make these real decisions which have huge implications for the company or the future sustainability of the organization, the employees. And it's this new way of learning creates that safe space to be able to make mistakes, to be able to try things, experiment, and not have to worry that you're actually going to have some sort of detriment to the company or any of that sort of thing. And then also the idea that it's, like what you said, it creates that emotional engagement when you're chatting with your colleagues and you're discussing how to solve these problems, as you would in a physical real world situation. What do you think leaders are actually missing when it comes to decision-making training at the moment?
I think it is that ability to have simulated environments which apply that pressure, but also are real enough to be able to be relatable to the boardroom and decisions that get made, or frontline supervisors. I think the relatability is important, and it's almost a practice exercise that needs to happen. So the way that we've designed the scenarios to be different each time you come in, you're not going to be practicing the same, you're not going to be immersed in the same experience if you go and replay the game. The way we've integrated the AI allows that scenario to change, the information to change with it. So you're constantly under pressure, and it's a behavior that over time, as you repeat that, you get better at understanding not only the way you make decisions, but how you make decisions in collaboration with your colleagues, how they communicate. So it's actually practicing a lot of different skills within and around, that ability to make decisions under pressure and within limited time. So I think it's sort of testing a whole lot of things, and the engagement of being perhaps a little bit removed from the real world, because it's not the company you're working for, it's this fictitious company, as I've mentioned. You're engaging in something which for everybody is different. So you're out of your comfort zone completely, as are your fellow colleagues that you're playing the game with.
Yeah, it's fascinating, because I think if you think about the future of learning, because of this new advent of these exponential technologies, is around, recreating actual situations and actual experiences that we can go through in life, and so that we can replay them in a simulation and then make better decisions in the physical world. I think, this wasn't available before. And also it's all driven by artificial intelligence, so that it's, the AI that we've created, Red Brain, helps you along this journey, briefs you, guides you, helps you improve, and judges you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that measurement piece of it is really fantastic as well. So you're actually being scored on different weighted levers. It could be linked to financial performance, things around people and culture. So you're actually getting a measurement which has been based on years of leadership development that we've been doing within TTRO and with the team that leads that part of the business for us. So being able to then produce a report that actually has a breakdown and a score per different criteria on how you've done. So that brings real insight into your own personal performance, the performance of the team that's played together, and guides you really on, maybe some developmental gaps within your leadership skills, and how you can go about and then close those. And that might be in a number of different ways. And I think where we're at with learning and development, that this move away from static events, an event in the classroom, an e-learning event, things are definitely moving more towards learning in the flow of work. So having available to you what you need in that moment, so that you have the confidence, you have the competence, and therefore the ability to perform at your best. And that I think for me is one of the exciting things that AI as a technology has brought to to all of us, and needing our ability to constantly uplift our skill set and develop as professionals in whatever field we're in. These tools are really starting to be able to give us things that we didn't previously have, to your point earlier, Mick.
Incredible. And I think maybe let's just take a quick step back to explain to the audience what is Red Horizon, And what have we created? Maybe let's just give some context around Red Horizon a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So Red Horizon, well, it's come from, if we start from where the idea stemmed, Mecca was when we were at the Singularity South African conference together, and we were discussing leadership development and the way in which TTRO delivers leadership development into various different clients. And we have quite a multimodal delivery mechanism, from in the classroom to online. We have coaching sessions, we have assessments, but all of it is really around the actual organization that we're delivering the leadership training to. And we modeled off one of the assessments to say, well, what if we were to be able to create something that wasn't about the company that they know? What if it was something that was around a company that they needed to learn about within the pre-reading and a really sort of rapid fire, 2-week intense period, learn about this company so you come prepared into the game. And it's actually a form of assessment. So while it's immersed in the metaverse, and you've got your avatar that you create when you enter, up to 10 players play at the same time. So you invite your colleagues, and the session begins, typically run over a 60-minute period. So within that, you're going to go through 5 different environments. You've mentioned Red Brain, the AI chairman, who's there to inform you of what environment you're in, brief you around what is the scenario, what has happened in this particular habitat, where you are, and what is it that you need to solve for. And depending on where you are or what level of the game you select to play, whether you're an executive leader, you're a senior manager, you're a frontline supervisor, or you're an individual contributor, but wanting to really move into the space of management and leadership, the level of the scenario will cater for where you are in that journey. And, to be quite honest, at the executive level, it's hard. You really feel under an immense amount of pressure with a very limited amount of time to think through the scenario in a business context that is relatively new to you. You've done your pre-reading, but you've got typically 5 minutes to discuss with your team how you're going to respond. So if Mick's playing as the CEO and I'm playing as the CTO, and we've got our chief marketing officer and we've got our digital officer there, we're all going to get a different question related to the problem we need to solve. So we move into a breakaway pod, we answer those questions, or we talk to one another about the question, we discuss the scenario, and then we've got to respond. And we're either doing that by talking into a microphone within the game itself, or we're typing our answers in. The AI chairman, Red Brain, consolidates that information and the input, knowing what role you're playing in the game, and then scores you. And the weighting of that score, as I've mentioned, is dependent on how the game was set up at the beginning by the game master, and whether our real focus is honing in on financial performance, or is it technology that is the key driver of what we're wanting to measure and assess the decision-making capability amongst other skills. And so you move through the scenarios through the 60 minutes and then get your final report. Your dashboard brings up your sort of scoring along the way, so you can see how well you're performing within the game itself, but that all culminates in your final report. So yeah, it's pretty intense and very exciting.
It's really exciting. I mean, I don't think anyone to date has made something where it's an AI strategic simulator, where you're getting to play as your role in the business, and to learn about your role. And I also love the fact that we've built in these criteria, just for me personally, when I play myself, say I'm playing as a CEO, we've created 5 criteria, what makes a good CEO. And just by doing that pre-read material and learning those 5 criteria, it's helped me be a better CEO. And I'm constantly thinking about, strategic alignment and what's the vision of the company and how to communicate correctly now, which, it's teaching me these skills just through playing the simulation and just by reading those criteria and then being judged collectively as a team. I think also is really, really powerful, because you don't make decisions in isolation, and you shouldn't, especially in these big organizations. So now you get to collaborate, chat with your team in the breakaways, then work out your answers. So you're getting judged individually on your 5 criteria, and you're getting judged on the team scoring, which was set by the game master initially, as you said. And it's just phenomenal. The real-time scoring, it's hard to get, good results. And, why do you think this is relevant for corporates right now in this age of AI disruption?
It's relevant because of the pace at which you can learn the skills. So I want to pick up on what you said there, Mick, because I think that's so relevant as well, that this is not only for large organizations with large executive and management and leadership teams. This is for any sized organization. And more than ever, I think leaders are time poor and under an immense amount of pressure. And it doesn't matter whether we are leading businesses that are small, medium enterprises, or whether we are leading large enterprise, multinational organizations. The amount of pressure on decision-making, good quality decision-making around technology, the use of technology within the business. How do you have the right skill set and people? How do you get the right skills into your people? These are all things that I think leaders are struggling with, being able to acquire the skills quick enough. So the fact that we've created something which, as you've said, and we've probably played the game several times now, but it is helping to really, in our own businesses, make better decisions and be more cognizant of how we do that, and to learn more about our colleagues in our businesses and how they think and make decisions, which, from my perspective, we haven't had something like this that has enabled us to be able to do it in gameplay, in an immersive environment in 60 minutes. So, we're not taking people away and asking them to go and spend 5 days in a classroom. We're immersing them in something that gives them value the minute they finish that game and go off onto the rest of their day. And I think that's a really powerful thing to pull out as well, so people don't have a lot of time to be doing lengthy leadership programs as they maybe once had more luxury to do.
And just to further double click on that, what do you think this unlocks for learning and development teams?
I think it unlocks a different way to think about how to put together learning solutions and learning experiences. It's another tool that's available to us to, as I talked about, the multimodal delivery of learning experiences. It's another tool in the basket that you can use at the right point of the design of that experience. It you wouldn't design everything within the same flow, because there's a different purpose for why you have it. But for that rapid acceleration of, forcing people to be able to, in that high decision-making, high time pressure mode, this was a really amazing partnership that we formed with Ubu to bring that technology enablement into the way we wanted to be able to create experiences for our leadership development programs. So yeah, really excited about the partnership, about what we've built, and awesome that there are so many ideas that I think we've got going between us now that we've got this first engagement done. And interesting with our client engagements to date, Mick, that so many of them are saying, can we customize this experience, and could we create something else within the metaverse, and could we use it for this scenario? And the way we've built it enables that. So I think that's quite exciting as well, that other people are seeing, oh gosh, this is not just, it's not just in leadership, that we could use this metaverse and this way of delivering a learning experience. It's really got lots of application, and it's quite unique.
Yeah, and we even, we've seen universities now.
Yes,
we see universities use it as students' career development. So to actually develop the students to get ready for their first job, and how do they actually make decisions in their first role, which is one of the focus areas in Red Horizon. You've got executive, senior management, middle management, and working staff, which is a student would get into their first role. So that's one use case, is you can use it as student career development. Another use case which you mentioned was around succession planning, or HR planning to hire somebody. You can very easily see if somebody is understands what's required for the role before they come, and it's done in an immersive 3D way that's fully tracked, that's got reports and results, evaluations, and it helps them actually improve even in their job interview. Now they can improve learning about their future jobs. So I think the use cases that we're seeing are just phenomenal.
Yeah, and some of them unexpected. The university one especially, but the students are loving it.
And what happens when AI becomes the coach or chairman in these environments? Where do you see that going?
I think it'll just become more intelligent. So the more we train it, the more the coach learns and understands the context within which people are performing in their job. I think it'll just go to another level of what it's able to bring. Coupled alongside the human, we often are talking about these days the human in the loop and that need for the human to be watching the dialogue, looking at transcripts of the gameplay, making sure that the intelligence that the AI red brain has got guardrails and, things around it. So I think we're going to continue to train red brain. I think we're going to continue to add more and more scenarios, which are realistic and scenarios that people can relate to in their business and in their role, but will be, again, not directly related to what they're doing, but making them think. So that critical thinking skill is another skill we're really trying to develop within the game. Because if you're not thinking under pressure as humans and making these decisions as humans, it's easy to take a wrong step.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think the scenarios that we have currently built in focus around supply chain disruption. What happens if your supply chain gets disrupted in your organization, or if you need to do a market business model pivot, maybe something's happened and you need to pivot your business or your product lines to quickly shift and make sure you don't have losses, to cybersecurity incidents, to HR issues, or to technology adoption, which are all very, very relevant in any organization of any size, because anyone is susceptible to those types of simulations or those types of challenges in a business. So absolutely. I think it's relevant. It's quite relevant to every organization across the board. Just to end off, let's do some quick fire lightning round. So I'm going to ask you for some quick answers. Just try something fun and unexpected.
Unexpected, yeah.
What do you think? So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and you can just give me some quick fire answers. What do you think one thing corporates are getting wrong about learning?
The modality. They're not exploring what's available with new technology.
And what are they underestimating about AI?
The power of what it can do if it's got the right guardrails wrapped around it.
Love it, love it. And one capability that will define future training?
I think it's the way we create experiences with all of what's available to us from an instructional, creative, and technology perspective.
And last one, do you think classrooms are going to be around in 10 years?
I do, but not for the way we use them today.
They're going to be fully immersive. They'll be 3D and hyper realistic. I think another thing to mention is in Red Horizon, you're actually playing as yourself, as a hyper realistic version of yourself, which makes it a bit more engaging when you sort of walking around and seeing your colleagues that you're interacting with, and they look like they're your colleagues.
Yeah.
So, Kirsty, thanks so much. What's clear from this conversation is that we're moving beyond content into experience, beyond learning into decision making. And Red Horizon represents something much bigger than a training tool. It's a shift in how leaders prepare for complexity, uncertainty, and high-stakes environments. A world where we don't learn just by watching, you learn by doing, failing, adapting, and improving. And in a future shaped by AI, that kind of learning isn't just valuable, it's essential. So, Kirsty, thanks so much for joining us. We will be where people can follow you on, I'm sure, most of the social platforms, or where you're most active.
LinkedIn, yeah.
LinkedIn, which is obviously one of the key business platforms. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope you liked that episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're serious about preparing your teams for what's coming next, you might want to step into Red Horizon. Let's keep building the future. Thanks. See you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you, Mac. Bye.